Okay, we're back. Oh god. Okay, give me a second to... What are you doing, kitty? Said it was in the... Okay, got a staircase key there. Of course, Mr. I can hit from anywhere axe. Okay. What's the... Oh, I think it was on the other side, wasn't it? There's nowhere to go. That bell sure sounds a lot closer now. Is it above me? Okay, this room again with the spiral staircase. Right. Same with the gym. I climbed the long winding staircase and snaked its way up the walls of the tower. And I hugged those walls the whole time. The entire general area was wide open with nothing but a rickety old guardrail between me and a very, very long fall. As I climbed higher and higher, the Argus Cube's light began to blink more and more intently. Oh yeah. It's real loud now. Suddenly the bell toll rang out louder and clearer than before. With such intense, unavoidable force, I was completely frozen in my tracks and instantly in pain. The same sound had been heard multiple times since arriving in the Nirvana. but this was the first time it had been so overbearing. Even the fingers in my ears continued to pulsate, resonating with the incredible noise. The sound was just too all-encompassing to block out, present even when absent. I braced myself for the next toll, expecting it to be the end, but it didn't come. And although the ringing never quite left my ears, it did slowly begin to abate, if only slightly. Oh yeah, and the remains of the hammer guy here. It's the body of Yoshikazu Yanhigori. In addition to being crucified, he's also had a stake driven through the back of his head. Sworn that was the unmistakable voice of Sachiko Shimazaki. Okay, that key lets us unlock this. Oh, what the? Megari grabbed the now primal beast-like Azusa by the hair and pinned her down. Oh, the crazy chick who was chasing us before. Hmm? Is she also part of that group? A tall shrine with a bell could be seen from the window, and from its peak there were 6 columns of light stretching upward. Oh, this is elsewhere. Oh, what the hell is that? At long last I'd reached the top, and there it was, the 6th pillar in all of its horrifying glory. Lovely. Looked like some bizarre growth coming down from the roof, composed entirely of long dead corpses. I observed it in horror, mouth agape, as a fluttering, winged insect scraped against my ear canal. All the corpses' necks had red, ceremonial-looking markings emblazoned upon them. This sixth and final pillar was the crown, and what a sight it was. I closed my eyes and reached out to try touching the markings on one of the corpses' necks. Oh. Yeah, obviously we know now she's being set up by Misuto. Oh. As she screamed, Misuto leaped out from nowhere and snatched the water pillar crystal. Mercy for Megari's chest before she had any idea what was happening.
あっけねえな、丸つばのマガリさんよ。
Misuto looked on in sick pleasure, sticking his tongue out playfully, as Megari plummeted to certain doom. Satisfied, he then turned his attention toward the final pillar, which had just finished unsealing. The light began to shine even brighter. I could only watch, stunned and squinting as this new spectacle unfurled before me. There was a powerful blast of wind, and then the pillar crumbled. Unbeknownst to me, the other pillars had crumbled as well. The entire school rumbled and shook beneath our feet. Suddenly, the entire Nirvana was blanketed with impenetrable darkness. It's as if the whole place vanished, only to be replaced with an empty void. I could sense that I was crouched on the ground, clutching my forehead. I slowly raised my line of sight up, the faintest hint of a glow catching my attention. Above me I could see the sky, though it was muted, distorted, discolored, as if being filtered through a warm purple veil. It looked a bit like the Aurora Borealis. Aurora Borealis! At this time of the day, in this time of the year, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your school. Yes. May I see it? No. A few moments passed in relative silence, only for the stillness to be broken by a sound echoing from the sky above. It was reminiscent of ice cracking on the surface of a lake. The scenery that lay before me was like something out of a dream. Even then, after everything I'd been through, I had a tough time believing it was real. Then there was another sound directly in front of me. I best describe it as a mass of metal collapsing to the ground. I turned my head down slightly and saw what looked like a piece of limestone with an eerie white glow. This was, I knew, the crystallized power of the final pillar. Crown. I picked it up, and almost immediately Misuto tossed the stone he'd taken from Megari over to me.
歩み、今までの結晶を全部出せ。
やっと会えたのに、そういうのって。
いいから早く出して全部合わせてみろ。
I wouldn't do it, Ayumi.
もう。
There was too much at stake for me to dwell on this. Begrudgingly, as instructed, I took the other crystals out of my pocket and fit them together into a single object. They snapped into place snugly and with one final bright light, fused inseparably. The result was a more or less round crystal with a black sheen, reminiscent of hematite. This, I would learn, was called Kabbalah Dogra, and it was now complete. I don't think that's gonna be the case.
やったね。
Misuto flashed me a wry smile, but then... Oh, Aiko! Is she alright? Where... Yeah, what happened with her?
愛子さん、よかった。手伝ったのね。あゆみちゃん、聞いて。私、あなたに謝らなきゃいけない。
Clothes have been burned in several spots. The skin underneath now washed black with ash or red with blood.
あれは保健室。助かったわ。やけどの処置をできないかしら。サチのあの日は霊か。水では消えないただの火じゃなかったけれど、逆にそのおかげで大麻の護符を持っていた私は軽傷で助かったってところかしら。でも肌は結構やけどしたわ。消毒しておかないと。消毒。
Leaned against the wall and smirked in spite of
生き延
myself.
びる気でいるの私。帰るすぐらしなくてはほんの少し生き延びてどうなる。無敵の情報屋が上がっちゃうわね。ここの恐ろしさも知らずにニコニコやってきて、こんなやけどまで負って。
Let myself slide down the wall until I was sitting. Then I stared out the window, defeated and alone.
お姉ちゃん、 また会えるのは半年後くらいなんて言っちゃったっけ。これじゃ次いつ会えるか。会えないわね。
Look down at the floor and breathe a deep
ナコ
sigh.
ちゃんとさやかちゃん、春之くんのいるこの学校で運命を共に。それが私の定めなら受け入れるわ。
I stood up and placed my hand on the infirmary door.
でも死ぬまで抗ってやるけれど、少しでも生き延びるわ。
When I opened the door, what I saw chilled me to my core. This wasn't a school infirmary. This was the clinic from Yoshi's home.
何これ、天神小学校じゃない。
There was a person sitting at the desk. Her face wasn't visible from the back, but her identity seemed clear.
間違いないわ。これ水木まがりの横下スティオにあった篠崎義恵のせいか。診療所だわ。だとしたらあれは篠崎義恵。
The nurse was writing something in presumably her journal, and was so focused on this task that she remained oblivious of everything else around her. Or at least she seemed oblivious. If she did notice me, she didn't care. She just kept on writing.
私がバカだった。今はこうして幸子が涅槃を飲み込んでくれたからかりそめの平穏が訪れているんだ。幸子が天寿を全うした後はどうなってしまうのだろうか。アナグラムの解析を進めると、この本に書かれている術は全て実体に伴わない理論でしかなかった。成功例に関する文献も全く存在しない。私はなんと愚かなことをしてしまったのだろう。最初から成功しないものに心血を注いでいたなんて。
成功しない。ええ、あなたは成功しないものに救いを求めていたのよ。篠崎義恵自身がそう言っていたの？そんな、みんなが生き返る
There's
って
no
聞いたから
guarantee of that, any of that ever working.
私のしたことって。
That's what it's looking like. I could see how much this revelation was affecting me in bitter lip. She seemed like she'd finally succumbed to her own conscience.
私も本当は半信半疑というか信じていなかった。ごめんなさい。私は自分の欲望のためにあなたをここへ誘導した。あなた、いなくなった友達に会いたかったから、もう一度声が聞きたかったから。
That sounds like they both have the same objective. This was like a new Ico. bearing it all, as opposed to hardening her heart like she always had. She wanted friends, and she finally made some. Now all she wanted to do was cherish them. Tears streamed down her cheeks faster than she could react to them. She quickly gave up on wiping them away, electing instead to look down and hide her face in her hands.
愛子さん
ご苦労。
Misuto's probably not going to let the touching moment last. Before I even realized it, Misuto had snatched the Kabbalah dagger from my hand with calculated precision.
何をするの
ご苦労、ご苦労。
あなた
人なんぞ生き返らねえよ。常識で考えろ。頭ん中はお花畑か？
Misuto's condemnation and contempt seemed to have an even greater effect on Aiko than me. Her face was racked with guilt and sadness. I was starting to share her expression, however, as the implications of his actions began to dawn on me. I fell backwards into a sitting position on the ground.
そもそもあの本はな、破壊が目的の本なんだよ。再生の書物ではない。本に認められれば強力な力が手に入る。それをてめえはなくしたたと？ったく使えねえ女だな。だがそんなクズなてめえでも有効利用してやったんだ。感謝しな。これこそ魔女どもの英知の結晶。歩み、てめえが失った本の中身だ。これさえあれば。新しいブックオブシャドウズを作ることができるんだよ。
Misuto inserted the Nirvana's crystal into the depression in his book.
側なんてものは所詮入れ物だ。じいさんの残したこの写本で。
A sharp tone rang out, and the entire area was quickly bathed in a contradictory light. Black as night, yet bright as the noonday sun.
来た来た来た涅槃が拡大するぞ。
何よあれ
見ろよあれすげえだろ。
Oh, I see. The sky had what looked like a giant gunshot in it, with spiderweb cracks projecting outward from it, and the gunshot was now growing into a full-on gaping hole. And inside that hole, an upside-down view of the real world was clearly visible. It was nighttime, so everything was a little dark, but it was absolutely, identifiably the world we knew. And in that world, small black grain-like objects began emanating from the floating orb, clustering like locusts and dancing across the sky. Through the fissure in the sky, we could see nighttime scenery from the real world.
なんだよあれ。まさかここって。
驚いたね。どうやらこの場所は現世から空に見えていた黒い球体の内部みたいだね。
ってことは現実世界に天神師匠がすでに現れていたってことですか。
そうなるね。恐ろしいことだわ。かろうじて両者を隔てていた壁がこのまま壊れてしまって、死後の空間と現世が融合しちゃったら、世界がどんなことになるのか想像もつかない。
So the two worlds are gonna merge.
あっちの金のある塔の方が光ってる。行こう先生。サトシ、岸沼も。ええ。
なあ。よしき、行くぞ。
篠崎、どこ行っちまったんだよ。
くそ。
新ブック・オブ・シャドウズ。この本で涅槃の力を得た俺は幸の力をも凌駕する。
だったらその力でサチを止めて。今も呪いを振りまいてるんでしょ。世界を救ってよ。
I don't think that's his goal with it.
結晶を集めた私たちの目的でしょ。
やだね。花からどうだっていいんだよ。世界もサチもくだらねえ。この本を作るために俺を動かしてるんだからよ。
Okay, now you finally figured it out.
うん、騙した。
I was clenching my fists so hard my scrawny arms were quivering. Try as I might to think up a response, there were just no words for this. All I could do was glare.
恨んだって構わねえ。だがもう手遅れだ。あの空のひびを見ろ。終わりの到来だ。現実世界は今ついに涅槃に侵食を許した。じわじわとコントに包まれて死の世界となる。楽しいぜ。みんな狂ってさ。篠崎あゆみ、お前はいい働きをした。お前がバカだったおかげで俺の望みが叶いそうだぜ。そういう意味、最高にイケてる死の女神といったところか。
Oh, jeez.
腐りきってるこいつ。
これで俺は
あなたの望みって何なの。
復讐に決まってんだろ。
Revenge? On who? Even his features had no depth, his eyes shone with an almost cartoonish malevolence. He'd quite literally become an embodiment of pure evil. From a spot in the real world that was clearly visible to us through a fissure in the sky, a large black monolith-like pillar suddenly sprouted out of the ground.
膨張した涅槃の力がここじゃ収まりきれず向こうの世界に飛び出したか。エンティティウォールだ。
The entity wall.
ほら力を見せてみろ涅槃。お前を制するのは誰だ。俺だよ。
He pounded the book, and just like that, another entity wall formed. This time it spawned beneath a freeway, puncturing and utterly destroying it, scattering countless cars and bikes every which way as if they were like toys.
何を。
俺の正義を見せてるぞ。ヤゴーラは死なずだ。
Yagora.
あゆみちゃん。あなたなんか信じた私が。
Kinda, maybe. Yeah, you.
ははそのアーガスキューブでずーっとお前は監視されてたんだ。忠実な操り人形だ。この涅槃の力を結晶化できるのは篠崎の血を引くお前だけ。仕方ねえから俺の代わりに涅槃のパワーを発明させてやったんだ。
So that's why you needed her.
今日も一気に現世と涅槃がつながるからね。そうギャーギャーされるんだよ。これで新しい空門が完成する。つまり篠崎家の責務から解放してやろうってんだぞ。この本で涅槃の力をコントロールする。ブック・オブ・シャドウズの力を継承するのはマルトゥバでもお前ら篠崎家でもない。この俺だ。
どうでもいい。あなたみたいな人にそんなもの渡せない。返して。姉ちゃんが悲しむわ。
バカが死んだ人間が悲しむもんかよ。
Jeez.
そんな言い方。お姉ちゃんとのことも嘘なの。
He pseudo flinched slightly. I seemed to have struck a nerve. Though how deeply that nerve ran, I couldn't say. He recovered quickly, but still. Yeah, 'cause he did tell us that he knew her. Oh,
てめえの知ったこと。バカな妹のために簡単に全てを捨てて命まで差し出しやがったんだよな。
my tear glands twitched in pain. Every negative emotion came flooding through me at once. I wanted to pounce on this man. I wanted to wring his neck. I wanted him to die.
てめえはもうお前のせいで世界の破滅が早まったんだ。せいぜい自分の罪を悔いて死ね。
All those deaths were on me. All the suffering, the pain, the fear. It was all caused by me.
情け。祈りのとこに送ってやるよ。死んだけ。
あゆみちゃん。
逃げろ篠崎。
Oh! Yoshiki.
離れろ。こいつは狂ってる。
言ってくれるじゃねえか。見たことな。パンピー。誰だっけお前。
I don't even know who you are.
やめて岸野くん、危ないよ。
いいからお前は離れてろ。
その人の言う通りかもしれない。私が余計なことばっかりしてるから。本さんやゆい先生たちもお姉ちゃんも私のせいで私なんか生まれてこなければよかったんだよ。
Sachiko? What's she doing here all of a sudden? I tried to scream those words, but my voice was so hoarse they came out almost as a squeak. I crouched down and buried my face in my hands at this point, and in doing so I failed to notice the sudden appearance of none other than Sachiko, red dress and all.
篠崎お前そうじゃねえそうじゃねえだろがみんなもっと幸せになれってよくなれってした願いがよなんだって踏みにじられなきゃいけねえんだ騙される方じゃねえ騙す方が悪いに決まってんだよ辛いなら何とでも言ってやるぞお前は何も悪くねえ
Oh, there's the others.
兄ちゃん。
Misoto ceased trying to wrestle with Kishinuma, instead making a grand sweeping motion with his hand.
No!
学ばねえ野郎だ。
I felt like I was covered in a thin film of snot and tears by this point, but I put on the most intimidating face I could manage and tried to stare Misuto down. He did stop and stare back, although it certainly wasn't due to intimidation.
お前は何も残さなかった。
やめろ！なんだお前は！
てめえが持田聡か。
In that moment, the entire space shook violently, moving every which way beneath our feet. As this occurred, a massive, virtually indescribable object floated into existence behind us.
すごいな。7番目の柱。知識のセフィロ。
Seventh pillar, the Sephiroth of knowledge. What?
俺のブックオブシャドウズの力に反応して現れやがった。
何よあれ。
この崩壊の柱があれば日々どころじゃない。壁を全部壊して涅槃と現世を融合できる。なんだその。
There was a light emanating from my stomach, but as soon as I caught a glimpse of it, it disappeared.
よーし、派手に現世と涅槃の壁を壊すとするか。この天神章ごとな。犠牲になれ歩み。それと2枠。
私も知っているの。
当然だろう。有名な天才だ。お前は医療も超自然学も技術において全体の水準を底上げした人間。
Machida, Nakashima, and Kishinuma all turned their heads at once to look at Kuon, jaws slightly agape. The three of them had no knowledge of any of this, so all they could do was stare in disbelief.
だがその才能のせいでお前の親も妹も堕落してこのざまだがな。
やめて、そんなことない。
さて、まあ涅槃のコアが見つからないのが気になるが、後者を潰してから後で探せば見つかるだろう。それで神聖ブックオブシャドウズは完成だ。
As Kuon looked down at her ever after stones, the spirit meter she'd attached to them still wasn't showing a full charge.
ダメだわ。
いい子だ。グッドバイ。
Sachiko's still just sitting there. Oh. Okay, you didn't even really give me a chance to process that choice. I hesitated for a moment, torn as to whether I should try to stop Misuto or prioritize lending a hand to Kishinuma and my friends.
させちゃいけない。止めるの。
Although from the look of it, I don't think it matters what you select.
え？なんだこれは。
That was the most desperate cry I'd yet heard from Aiko.
愛ちゃん、お願い、殺さないで。お姉ちゃんは関係ないでしょ。愛ちゃん。
しゃらくせえ。
愛ちゃん。
What the fuck was that? Just as Miss Kuon screamed, a giant hellish beast spawned right before our eyes. On the front of it was an enormous mouth. made a beeline straight for Aiko and passed right through her body. Did it... Something not unlike black smoke coiled around it for a moment. It roared like a dinosaur, twisted its body to and fro, then flew over the guardrail and exited the scene. The only thing left behind was Aiko's body, without a head. What? Oh, the fuck? She remained upright for a split second, then tumbled lifelessly over the railing into the pit. At least she did get to see her briefly. As if on cue, the entire school began to shake violently. So violently that not a single one of us could keep our balance.
Nami!
This was well beyond any other earthquake we'd ever experienced at Heavenly Host to date. The shaking eventually died down, but things looked a lot different when it did. The sky above us was now blood red, with certain sections here and there bursting in black flame. Well, wasn't it kind of looking like that from when we first saw this?
さらばだ、ギニーピッグ。
愛ちゃん、なんてこと。
先生！
涅槃はこの学校は崩壊するわ。
先生、帰る方法は？
幸せの石はまだ戻れるほどの霊力をチャージできていないの。これから数時間はかかっちゃう。そんな。
I was slumped over, crying my eyes out as this conversation unfolded. Miss Kuon looked over at me, however, and saw something else. A girl in a red dress standing directly behind me. Sachiko. Oh. She's possessed, Ayumi? I objected strongly for obvious reasons, but I knew she was right, at least about the possession. I could sense Sachiko behind me. I could see her now too, but of everyone else present, Miss Kuon was the only other one who could.
嫌です。私はみんなと一緒に。厳しいことを言うけれど、その涙にもし本当に責任を感じているのなら、あなたは生き延びてこの世の先を見なきゃいけないわ。そして守る。これ、生きる道があるのに死を選ぶのはただの諦め、逃げることなんだよ。時間がないわ。行くの。やだー。
I was absolutely inconsolable. Miss Kuon just smiled. She stood behind me and patted Sachiko on the head. Sachiko, responsible for so much pain and torment, who now looked for all the world like a pure, innocent, lost little girl. Reacting to this new stimulus, Sachiko closed one eye and turned her head toward Miss Kuon, a satisfied expression on her face.
私だけ助かるなんて。
I had no conscious desire to go along with this, yet it seemed I was, whether I liked it or not. Everything around me began glowing white, and my body was lifting off the ground.
強くなりなさい。
She really was so much like Miss Yui. Below me I could see Machida shielding Nakashima from the falling debris, while staring at my rapidly ascending body. Kishinuma had stood back up by now and was watching me as well. In an instant, the turbulent fates of Machida, Nakashima, Kishinuma, and Miss Kuon all came to a close, as the four of them were distinctly and unmistakably crushed before my eyes. My vision warped, my memories jumbled. Holy shit, so... everybody dies? Then there was just the sky. That's the sky that hung above the real world, above our world. The black orb was there, and it was swelling up bigger and bigger, almost like a fetus rapidly gestating to term. It quickly grew too big to be contained and burst open. Strands of black energy shot out in all directions, and the entirety of the night sky was dyed an eerie reddish black. The Nirvana had now broken free of its bonds, and it wasted no time pulling the real world into its embrace. Shit, what an ending to Chapter 6, though. Huh. Damn, this... Okay, though, I think that's gonna do it for tonight. Then, of course, save the system data. Then I guess when I come back tomorrow, we'll start Chapter 7. As usual, as this series has been, it's been a hell of a ride. So, I'll see you tomorrow then. Have a good night, everyone. Later.